Probably a bit more level playing field, both on the field in terms of how much parity there exists, and then also in front offices, where a lot of front offices are looking at very similar information. So trying to find an opportunity to win a trade is not nearly as easy as maybe it would have been at another point. And instead, I think in this position, I've tried to shift to our goal is not to win the trade. Our goal is to make our major league team better. And sometimes the most straightforward way to do that is a need-for-need type trade, where obviously Washington, we saw firsthand how potent their offense is, and I know that they're trying to find additional pitching, and for us, we felt like pitching was a strength of the team, and we wanted to boost our offense.
The trade, and I don't mean for one team or the other, I mean the actual trade that took place. A lot of the trades that happen in baseball, in any sport, because of the economics that have completely overrun the sports in every way, shape, and form, a lot of the trades are pretty simple. Most teams are trading a veteran, highly paid player for young, lower paid players, talent for prospects. Expensive talent for inexpensive prospects. Almost every deal falls into that category now in pro sports. The Red Sox deal with the Washington Nationals that just took place yesterday, and again, it's Curtis Mead. I keep on call him Caleb for some reason. I have no idea, just because of Durbin maybe. Curtis Mead for Connolly Early. Red Sox made the trade. This is where we start tonight on the Baseball Hour. 617-779-0985. I'm going to give you a simple assessment of the deal. They overpaid. The Red Sox overpaid. Now, and I think Craig Breslow just admitted it in that cut that we just played for you, and I'm going to play other things for you. And by the way, I'm not telling you I'm angry at the overpay. I'm just telling you that they overpaid. And I think the Red Sox admit it. I think that the Nationals have admitted it. I think that the Red Sox paid a premium for the simple fact that Connolly Early was highly regarded throughout baseball. And when I say highly regarded, no one is saying he's an ace. But everybody believes that Connolly Early is a capable big league pitcher. And we've seen it here in Boston now, going back to the end of last year. He came up at the end of the regular season. Red Sox were really scraping for arms. Early got out there and did a good job, showed a great deal of poise. His velocity increased during the offseason. And if you don't want to take my word for it, don't. ESPN graded the trade, gave the Red Sox a C, gave the Nationals an A-. And Caleb Mead, who the Red Sox acquired in the deal, Caleb Mead is on his third team in a year. He's been traded 3 times in 1 year. Or I should say changed. He's played for 3 teams in 1 year, which I guess means 2 trades. Anyway, you get the idea. 617-779-0985 tonight on the Baseball Hour. So let me begin with that. I think this trade is a bigger risk for the Red Sox than it is for the Washington Nationals. It's a bigger risk. Now, you might not believe that, and if you get your fanboy footies on, then you are looking at it saying you love the deal. The Red Sox added a guy who can hit, and I would tell you they added a guy who can help. I don't know if he's the kind of bat they truly need, although if Curtis Mead continues to swing the bat as he has swung it for the, for this season in the aggregate, taking away hot streaks and slumps. If he continues to swing the bat like that, he should help them. Now, when I say that, the Red Sox admit that they overpaid for the player. Again, I think Breslow just told you, I'm not worried about overpaying. We're looking to help the team, which is a convenient argument for him to make, by the way, when early in the year and early in his career as chief baseball executive for the Red Sox, one of the things that Breslow was criticized for? That he wouldn't overpay to make a deal. That he was more interested in winning the trade than helping his team, which he also did in free agent negotiations, by the way. So, for example, the Alex Bregman deal, we criticized him for wanting to win the negotiation instead of helping his team. So now here we are, X number of months later, and all of a sudden, conveniently, Breslow was telling us, well, I wasn't trying to win the trade, I was trying to help the team. As if to say on some level, hey, I figured it out. I've learned, I've adapted, I've evolved, and by the way, F you for criticizing me the last time. I'm dramatizing, but you get the idea. You know who else thinks they overpaid? The Nationals. So I'm going to play for you Paul Taboni, the chief baseball executive of the Washington Nationals. Taboni used to work for the Red Sox. This is the second deal now that Breslow has made with him in the last year. The other one was the Jake Bennett trade, which it appears that the Red Sox have won, although we'll see how it shakes out in the long term. But right now, today, win for the Red Sox, win for Breslow. Does that mean this deal's going the same way? I'm not sure. In retrospect, I love the deal they made for Jake Bennett. Jake Bennett, to me, is legit. He's good. Now, I don't know if he's great, but he's good, and he can help. And the presence of Bennett probably made Connolly Early expendable. The Red Sox want to keep Peyton Tolley. He's got the higher upside. Jake Bennett is now here alongside. Ranger Suarez in the rotation. That's three lefties. Crochet would be a fourth. So Early was expendable. Paul Taboni was asked whether, you'll hear the question here, but he was asked whether Connolly Early was a target for the Washington Nationals. Here's the exchange.
How did your familiarity with Connolly help in this deal?
If anything, it worried me in the sense that I thought I was probably gonna have blinders on. What was good though is I was very careful about not relaying my opinion on Connolly, the person and the player, and letting others in the group really share their opinions. Others that don't know Connolly, at the end of the day, it made sense, I think, in a lot of folks' minds here. Having said that, on the other end of it, I'm really excited about it because you all will see it soon. But he's just he's a stud competitor, incredibly composed out there, brings great energy to the clubhouse. He's one of my favorites that I've been around. So just an awesome get for us. Obviously the talent, but just from a clubhouse perspective, couldn't be better.
Okay, now there's another comment, too, we'll play for you with Taboni, where he talks about really, again, the overpaying aspect of the deal. But this one was important here, too. He calls Connolly Early there a stud. Now, look, he's trying to sell the deal to his fan base. So Curtis Mead has had a good year there, and the Nationals need pitching. But the deal for Early specifically and the trade involved and what it really was, the motivation for making the deal on the part of the Nationals. Here's Taboni again.
Well, would it be unfair to say you guys were trying to acquire Connolly, and this is how it ended up happening? Like that he was a guy you were going after at the deadline?
If you're intimating that we were singly focused on Connolly and no one else, no, I don't think that was necessarily the case. But once the Red Sox engaged, given how highly we valued Curtis, there were only a few players that I think we could go after, and Connolly was the one that ended up making the most sense. And that's in part it's a credit due to the Red Sox. They just have such a deep rotation. It allowed them to, although it was painful on their end, to go out on a limb for a guy like Curtis because they know they have other guys that they can fill in behind him.
So that's the part that interests me. Go out on a limb. Paul Taboni says that the fact that the Red Sox had so much pitching, they could go out on a limb for Curtis Mead. Out on a limb. Do you understand the metaphor? If you're a Red Sox fan, do you understand that metaphor? You go out on a limb, you're climbing the tree is solid, you're fine. You go out on a limb, what happens? The limb breaks, you fall on your ass. It's a risk. So I'm not sure Paul Taboni fully grasped what he was saying there, but allowed them to go out on a limb, meaning, because you know how the Nationals got Curtis Mead? They acquired him in kind of a nothing deal at the end of spring training. He had been designated for assignment by Tampa Bay. Actually, it was the White Sox, whom he had joined because the Rays, Tampa Bay had designated him for assignment. So he had been effectively released by the last two teams, who then traded him. So the White Sox traded him to the Nationals. The Nationals tweaked his swing, maybe not tweaked, overhauled, and all of a sudden Meade started living up to the potential that made him a highly regarded prospect at one time in the Tampa Bay system. So now he's hitting home runs. So you tell me, is this the real Curtis Mead, or was it the guy who in the previous 3 years hit 5 home runs? So, again, Paul Taboni's words, not mine. The Red Sox went out on a limb, or allowed the Red Sox to go out on a limb for a guy like Curtis. Go out on a limb. So look, I'm not telling you the guy's not going to pan out. He might. But it's a risk. I think we all feel more confident in Connolly Early's ability to stay in the major leagues than we do Curtis Mead. Maybe it's just because we've seen Connolly Early. There is another part of this deal that we didn't talk about much on Felger and Mazz today that I do think is worth bringing up. And it affects the identity of the Red Sox. So I'll tell you what that is when we come back on the Baseball Hour. Also, we'll look at yesterday's victory, which was historic in some ways. I'll explain that as well when we come back. 617-779-0985. I see a few of you lined up already. Don't go anywhere. We'll take your calls and any others when we come back. Three sacrifice bunts for the Red Sox yesterday. I said this earlier. Just to give you an idea as to how rare that is, there are roughly 1,600 games have been played in the major leagues this year. Roughly, again, there are two teams in every game. So 100 games in, 16 teams or 16 pairs of teams. Get you 1,600 games. That is just the fifth game this year in which a team has executed three sacrifice bunts, the first by the Red Sox. They haven't done that all year long. And all those bunts led to runs. So no home runs hit yesterday. The Red Sox have won the games in multiple varieties, won the series over the weekend against the Blue Jays. You get the idea. So let me just finish this. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll take a couple thoughts, and then I'll give you what a worrisome downside of this trade is for the Red Sox. Jerry in Weymouth kicks us off tonight. Jerry, what do you got?
Yeah, Mazz, I think you hit the nail on the head just before the break. Why would the Red Sox be taking a risk on a left-handed pitcher with a low 3 ERA who's been pitching all of this season and for, I believe, several months last season? I mean, he's pretty much proven what he is. Was essentially the third starter here. What would we be? Why would we be risking that for a guy who may or may not be an offensive player, whose downside is he's not good defensively, when we just got rid of Devers because he wasn't good defensively and then couldn't shut his mouth, of course. But I don't understand why we would risk a left-handed pitcher to do that. We couldn't have packaged him and got a sure thing someplace else in the infield?
So, Jerry, that's the real criticism, is the last thing you said, is that Connolly Early should have gotten, in theory, should have been able to get you something better. And you may have had to pair him with a prospect or whatever, but Connolly Early it seemed to have pretty good value. And again, I'm just telling you what some of the national response has been. ESPN gave the Red Sox a C grade for the trade. They gave the Nationals an A-. So most everyone thinks that the Nationals won the trade. And by the way, I would also say the Red Sox think that based on the way Craig Breslow described it. We weren't trying to win the trade. We were trying to help our team. So I think they admit they're rolling the dice. Now, does that mean that Curtis Mead stinks? I don't know. Maybe he finally did. Maybe it did click. Maybe he's going to hit. I don't know. I just don't think it's a sure thing. I'd like something closer to a sure thing. That's all. Now, in terms of what he could give them, he's going to play second base, not third. The Red Sox have said they're going to start him at second. They're leaving Caleb Durbin at third base, which I think is the right move. Why mess with Durbin? You just got him squared away here in the last little bit, and his defense at third has been good all year long. Now you're going to give him a position change? No way. So they'll put this guy at second base, Curtis Mead, which brings me to the downside of the move. His reputation as a defender is not great. I want to see him before I fully say he sucks. Someone told me he's average. I want to see it. And their defense at second base wasn't great anyway. It was okay. What I'm worried about is the defense at shortstop. Because to get Curtis Mead on the roster, they sent Sung-Shae Cheng back to the minors. Now, Monasterio's going to play short. He's a better hitter than Cheng is. But your defense up the middle collectively just got worse. So I think Cheng has been a significant part of the Red Sox success. I probably overstate it, but defensively, he's been terrific. So let me just give you quickly, again, I think in the games that Cheng played, the Red Sox went 13-1 overall, 12-1 in his starts. He did not, I guess it was Monasterio who played over the weekend. Cheng didn't play. So his last game was on the 22nd. But I like what Cheng gives them defensively. And, again, if they're going to be a pitching and defense team, I think defense at shortstop is important. So I'll play more for you on what Breslow said about the deal. We'll do that coming up in the show, but I see a bunch of you on the line, so we'll get to your calls now. Tom's in Framingham. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Mazz. I don't like the trade. I don't like it, but there's a couple intriguing things about this guy, though. I will admit that made me dislike it less.
Okay, what are they?
He's only struck out 62 times in 87 games.
Yep.
I think by these standards, it's not that bad. The other thing, he's only hitting 3 double plays.
Yeah, Tom, he hits the ball in the air. Yeah, he hits the ball in the air. And in fact, Jimmy, let's play the Breslow on Mead cut that we have in there. Breslow talked about what the draws were. So, look, here's the question with Mead. This is what should concern you about Mead. He has been now this is his 4th organization, if I'm not mistaken. I think it went Tampa Bay, the White Sox, the Nationals, now the Red Sox. So he's been with 4 organizations. He'll be 26 in October. But look, there are late bloomers. It happens in baseball when guys get to their peak years, like Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran didn't start playing well until he's about 26 years old. I mean, it happens. So it can happen late with guys. What should concern you about Mead is that this year is the aberration and the other 3 years are who he is. That's what should concern you. But Breslow was asked, I think this was during the broadcast, when he was talking about Curtis Mead. Here's the exchange.
What were some of those main changes that he made? Because it's working.
No doubt, 350 out base, with some slug, and guys that both hit for power and don't chase are pretty rare. So, like I said, we're excited.
Okay, so that last part is exactly what the caller's talking about. Guys that hit for power and don't chase are rare. Meaning, he's not striking out, he draws walks, and he hits the ball out of the ballpark. That just doesn't happen all that often. Okay, let's hope that that's what it is. So now again, the Red Sox, and there are all kinds of metrics that I could give you or that the analysts will give you to prove that this guy is on the right track. And he might be. I just think it's a risky move. Hence the comment by Paul Taboni, the chief executive of the Nationals, who says the Red Sox were willing to go out on a limb. So even the Nationals recognized it was a gamble. Andrew's in New Hampshire with a question about the deal. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, what's going on, Mazz? So with Mead playing second base and sometimes DH, what do you think this will mean for Yoshida, who's had a freaking awesome season and he seems like a great clubhouse guy? I'd maybe put him in right field over Duran, even though Yoshida's a defensive liability. But with the way his bat's hitting, I mean, you got to keep playing him.
So, Andrew, I think you answered your own question, honestly. And when I say put him, and when I say that, I don't mean necessarily left field. Yoshida is more effective against right-handed pitching. I'll see if I can find the splits. But you can find ways to move the bodies around there. And I don't love the idea of quote unquote a straight platoon. I'll see if I can get you the exact splits on Yoshida. Yoshida has had a good year. He's still going to DH against right-handed pitching. I don't think that's going to change at all. And in terms of the left-right splits, let's see. This year he is hitting. Well, actually, he's actually doing better against left-handed pitching than right. Although all 4 of his home runs have come against right-handed pitching. So look, I would focus on Mead being in the field right now, predominantly at second base. I agree that it wouldn't mess with Yoshida too much overall. So I don't think it affects Yoshida all that much. The guy you're really going to lose in this equation is Cheng. Cheng had to be taken off the roster for this. So he's going to the minor leagues. You're going to lose a good defensive shortstop. John's in Worcester. John, go ahead.
Hey, Tony, John, first time, long time. If we're talking to the Nationals about Conley early, C.J. Abrams, the name brought up before the deadline, wondering why we didn't talk about him or even packaging, getting some other names like James Wood or anything from them.
Okay, so John, they weren't going to trade James Wood, but as it comes to Abrams, let me ask you, what do you think the reason is?
I'm not sure. I think Abrams, obviously switch hitting shortstop, could maybe move him to second or even in the outfield. I just thought his name had got brought up in the trade talks and everything, or his name was definitely reported. Just curious. I just thought switch hitting bat, a little bit more athletic, can bring some speed to the lineup. Maybe as more of a casual and more recognizable name than Meade.
Yeah, so look, here's what I would tell you, that Abrams, first of all, is a left-handed hitter. He's not a switch. So that's one thing, but I would tell you that that's not even really a big deal, because if a guy's a great player, you don't care whether he's left-handed or right-handed in most cases. The real thing with Abrams is that he's more expensive in lots of ways. You got to pay him more, and I got to look up the actual contract with Abrams because, but he's been in the league a longer period of time. So Meade costs you virtually nothing. I mean, I think he's got a minimum salary. It's like $800,000, $750,000 this year alone. It's $4.2 million for Abrams, and he's eligible for arbitration for the next 2 years. So meaning those salaries are basically going to double. So let's call it $8 million next year, maybe 16 after that. So over the next couple of years, you'd have to pay him $25 million. This guy's going to make nothing. And on top of it, you'd have to give up more to get him. So the acquisition cost is higher. The salary is higher. And that's why they didn't do it. So, and again, this is all stuff that Breslow was asked in his press conference about the trade. So I'll tell you what, we'll play you those comments when we come back. His thoughts on whether or not they discussed other players with the Nationals, specifically Abrams, and also on the timing of the deal, because the trading deadline obviously is still about a week away, August 3rd. So the Red Sox jumped the gun here a little bit, which is good. I'm not blaming them for it. They get him for an extra 7 or 8 games, but we'll tell you what Breslow said about those two things in particular when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
Sports Hub headline.
So into the last segment, there was a caller who said, why didn't they go after C.J. Abrams, highly regarded shortstop? Red Sox apparently are in the market for a shortstop. Right now, it's going to be Monasterio that plays there. Cheng has gone back down to the minors to accommodate Meade's spot on the roster. So that, to me, is a negative of the deal. I love the defense Cheng plays at shortstop. And I think now, let's see how that affects the Red Sox defense, which, again, has been a part of that winning streak. 12-1 with Cheng as the starting shortstop, 13-1 when he comes in the game. And that one game that he came in as a defensive replacement was the game against the Mets that the Red Sox won in extra innings on that Sunday. They were down 2-0 in the ninth, came back, won it. Cheng was a pinch runner that scored the second run, then went out to play shortstop, and they won the game in the 10th inning with I think it was a bunt and a sacrifice fly. In any case, Siegler hit the sacrifice fly in that game, I think. I want to get right back to your calls, but just quickly, here is Breslow when asked whether or not they had discussion with Jimmy, this is Breslow on Abrams. This is whether or not they had discussions with the Nationals about other players.
The Nationals were said to have been talking about another infielder who might have been a fit here. Were there other variations or deals that got talked about here, or was he kind of your focus from the beginning?
Without getting into specifics about other concepts, at this point in the season, every team is having conversations about a wide group of players, and then pretty quickly, as we talked about, this narrowed down into, hey, what are we looking for? And a right-handed bat that could hit in the middle of the lineup, that could play the infield. This made a lot of sense.
Okay, so I think he answers the question for you there. Yeah, we asked about Abrams. We asked about everybody. We wanted to see what they were willing to do. They wanted to see what we were willing to do. And we got the sense that Abrams was probably more than we wanted or more than they were willing to do. And, so what do we want? We want a right-handed bat. Okay, well, how about Mead? And then they made the deal. So they asked about Abrams. I'm telling you, to me, it's pretty clear. Abrams makes more money. He would have required a bigger prospect investment. So they didn't go after Abrams. I do want to share this other comment with you because I think it's relevant and it also reflects well on the Red Sox. And it's with regard to the timing of the deal. Again, the trading deadline is still a week away. A lot of teams don't act until the very last moment. Here is what Breslow said.
What did the timing say about your take on things moving and the market getting established?
Probably a few things. In a perfect world, I'm sure everybody would like to have all of the different concepts in front of them, line them up, and then make a decision. At the same time, these decisions are always. I don't think there's a comfortable trade that gets made this time of year, and there are a few advantages for us. One is we felt like this is something that makes us better, and independent of the alternatives, we felt like this made sense for us. The other thing is that getting 7 or 8 extra games with Curtis Mead in our lineup is real. So we don't want to discount the value of getting those at bats here.
So look, do I think the Red Sox made this deal largely because of those 7 or 8 games? My answer is no. If they didn't like the trade, they wouldn't have made it. But they're going on the road. They're going to face the A's and the Dodgers. And why not? I mean, if we can do it now, we'll do it now. We need a right-handed bat. This guy's having a good year. Let's take a shot. So they did. And again, I commend them for that part of it. Like they're not just sitting around. But I would think that given what Connolly early has been, I think everyone thought the Red Sox would be able to get more for him. Now, more might be relative. Let's see. If this guy produces, then it's going to be fine. But I think we were expecting a bigger name, and I think the Red Sox just told you they're not going to make many bigger trades. I know there's another comment we have in there, Jimmy, from Breslow somewhere, with him talking about what types of things they may do going forward, whether there'll be other offense. Did you find it? Yeah. So this is also noteworthy because I think they're done with offense. I think if you read into these comments by Breslow, you can pick that up. So go ahead, Jimmy.
Would offense still be the priority? Does this change that at all?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anybody would sit here and say, no, we don't need any more offense or we don't want any more offense. But, I think we have to be mindful of losing Connolly and losing those innings. We have to be mindful of the workload that we put on our bullpen. So I think we'll look across a pretty wide scope here and figure out if anything makes sense for us.
Translation, we're focused on pitching next. We could use another depth starter and maybe a reliever. So now, what will those deals entail? I don't know. They might not be as, high profile in nature. I don't know that this was high profile. But given the fact that it included Connolly early, I think there was certainly more attention paid to it than if this had been just some guy in the minor leagues for, Curtis Mead. I keep wanting to call him something else. My gosh, Curtis Mead. If this had been, put it this way, if they had traded some double-A pitcher for Curtis Mead, I'm not sure any of you would have batted an eye over this trade. You wouldn't have known who they were giving up, and you wouldn't have known who they were getting back. And the fact that Early was in this deal is what made it news. I will go back to the phones, and let me just say quickly, I see a lot of you lined up. I would love to get to all of you, so please just try to be quick. Chuck is in a car. Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, so, Mazz, I don't necessarily disagree the Red Sox are going out on a limb with me, but I think at the same time you could maybe say the Nationals are going out on a limb with Early. I mean, he's on the DL right now. It's been over a month. He's not due back till the middle of August. He's got elbow issues. Don't they need to be concerned about that? What's your take on that?
Sure, yeah, a little bit. But again, I liked Connolly Early while we were here, and how many people were saying when they get him back? He's supposed to make a rehab outing next week, I believe it is. Might even be later this week. And then they said a couple of rehab outings. They're expecting him back, you say the middle of August. That's not that far away. I mean, he's on the verge of coming back, is the point. So is there some risk involved for the Nationals? Sure. But again, you tell me, had you even heard of this guy? And again, I'm talking about Curtis Mead. So this is one of those that when the Red Sox make a deal, everybody wants to love the guy that's coming in. And all of a sudden, you don't care about the guy that's leaving. We liked Connolly early. Most of us liked Connolly early. And it feels like you thought you could get more from him. I think people were willing to trade Connolly early. I know that. I was. But I thought they would get something more established. Eric's in New Jersey. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, Tony, love your show. Along the same lines that caller had mentioned, the elbow injury, I don't think Washington is taken on any less risk than the Red Sox. Connolly early put on 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason, and he doesn't look like he's the type of body that can carry it. Also, I love the fact that they're getting him out on the West Coast, meet his teammates, get into a streak, and not be under a scrutiny of starting his series at home. I'll hang up. Thanks.
Yeah, so look, again, there's always risk in every trade on both sides. I'm just let me ask you the question. I'll ask it to you again and again and again. How many of you had ever even heard of Curtis Mead? And let's not leave out the fact that Curtis Mead is now playing for his fourth organization and was effectively released by the last two. Okay, he was effectively released by the last two. Now, the numbers this year are good. So you tell me, why did his numbers this year improve? Is it because he completely overhauled his swing and he learned how to hit? Or, I don't know, something else? You want me to get specific? Protein powder? Protein smoothies? You tell me. All I know is some guys, like Fernando Tatis, got busted and now can't hit for power anymore. So I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I hope it's that he has learned how to hit. But I'd be an idiot if I didn't ask the question. Ralph's in Cranston. Go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Tony, you made a great point. Some players, and we've seen them in the past, they surface late. They get let go. I mean, I'm not comparing these two at all, but that's what happened to Ortiz. Minnesota let this guy go. They didn't want him. And we did pretty good with him. But you know what?
Yeah, Ralph, you do know, I don't know if that's the best example to bring up. You do know that he tested positive for performance enhancers at one point, right? But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, of course he did, Tony. But a lot of them did. But the thing about it, first of all, you have to understand, they got 4 other left-handers in this lineup. And early is hurt. Can I ask you one question, Tony? I respect your baseball knowledge so much with Bregman. Can I ask you a question because you mentioned him a lot?
Sure.
Am I allowed to do that? All right. Right now, you're a CEO, and I hear Bregman's name all the time. Who would you rather take a shot with? This guy with 17, you hit it on the head, Tony, $800,000. That's what this kid makes. And he's got some potential. Or bring Bregman back at $40 million a year. That would have been foolish to do, and everybody keeps mentioning that. He's gone, but now you've kind of replaced him, Tony, with this guy and Ramirez. That's how I look at it.
Okay, but trading for Bregman was never an option. I mean, Bregman, the decision was Bregman and Durbin. That was the decision. And by the way, come playoff time, you tell me, who would you rather have, Bregman or Durbin? I'd rather have Bregman. And remember, there is and you pay a premium sometimes for things that you shouldn't have to pay money for. Okay, but had Bregman been here, would Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer have been as effed up as they are? Particularly Anthony. I don't know about Meyer. Meyer might be the source of his own problems. But the team lacked leadership. And let's not forget, they sucked for 78 games. Not 8, not 20, not 28. 78 games. So, look, I understand people are happy now, but let's not just erase everything that happened to this point. Alex Bregman would have helped them. And, by the way, if you wanted to, you still could have traded for Durbin and put him at second base. Because you don't have a second baseman, and you would have never had to make this move. And, by the way, I always say this because it drives me bananas. Don't discount the fact that it's a different ballpark. Look at David Ortiz's career numbers at Fenway Park since the caller just brought him up, and look at him in other places. The ballpark makes a difference. Rafael Devers is learning that the hard way. Brian's in a truck. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, Mazz, I absolutely hate this trade. I think it was trading like Max Fried for Shea Hillenbrand, and we got Hillenbrand. And I can't believe they didn't shop our guy to other teams. I think his value on the open market is so much better than what's coming in. That's why I absolutely hate this trade, or I just would have kept him.
Yeah. So, Brian, look, again, let's not, I don't want to go too far with it either from the standpoint of shopping him around, although you do raise a good point, and that is that look at the teams Breslow has made deals with. It's the same teams over and over again. Pittsburgh, St. Louis, someone called and said this today. St. Louis is obvious. And now Washington, this is the second deal. Jake Bennett was the first time they made the trade. So there is a concern here about Breslow's inability maybe to make deals with all teams. And I don't know, maybe that's more commonplace than we think. You sort of have some trade partners that you line up with and others you don't. So, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to give you an assessment of the deal today, what the pluses and the minuses are. This guy's on the younger side. He's not going to be a free agent for 4 or 5 years. So you didn't lose anything in terms of that. The difference between him and Connolly early is that this guy's been released twice, basically. Designated for assignment twice. Early came up to the big leagues and basically succeeded in the first try. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's a big leaguer. The guy you got back looks like a big leaguer now, but for 3 years didn't. Ron's in Worcester. Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, on second base, I thought Siegler was playing pretty good. He went 4 for 4 home runs this night. I thought he was still really good. And this guy, he's certainly not an A or B right-handed hitter. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, so look, again, there is a ripple effect of this. I'm worried about the defense at shortstop. Let's see how that one shakes out. Let's see. Let's go to Dave in Boston on the shortstop position. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, hey, I'm one of the few people that actually am pretty excited to see Meade play. I do buy the breakout. I think one of the reasons he's breaking out is because he's swinging less and he's waiting for his pitch. He's not expanding the zone. But I didn't know that, like you said before, that they sent Chang down. I'm very disappointed to hear that. Chang kind of reminds me of Steven Drew back in 2013. That's a guy Breslow should know about in the impact that shortstop defensively can have on the whole team. I haven't seen them turn double plays or play clean defense in the infield all year long since that kid came up. So,
Yeah, I got you, Dave. It's Steven Drew is a better hitter than Chang is. But I will say, I believe in the defense at that position. And that guy made a couple of big plays last week that helped you win some games. So again, let's just see how that manifests itself. The good news with Chang is they didn't get rid of him. So if the defense at shortstop suffers and Monasterio sucks or whatever, you get the idea, they can bring Chang back up from the minor leagues. They're looking for a shortstop. There aren't a lot of options out there. And they're going for offense. Monasterio's a better offensive player than Chang. I don't think that's a stretch, and he's been hot. I just like Chang better. So I'll take, again, and I'm probably outdated in my thinking at shortstop. Chang doesn't hit enough to play every day. I just think with what they've got going at the moment, I wouldn't mess with it too much, and I do like his defense. So I see a couple of you still on the line. We've run out of time. If you want to try back tomorrow night, we'd be happy to take it. Be happy to talk to you. And certainly we'll have another game to talk about. Red Sox open up in Sacramento against the A's tonight. 4 games against the A's, 3 games against the Dodgers this week while we're on the road. We'll be back right here tomorrow at 6 o'clock on the Baseball Hour. If you're using chat to research replacement windows and doors, forget the prompts. Look up Window Nation. Right now, you can get 50% off all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 2 years. Get a free quote at windownation.com. Do it today. Window Nation, they're the real deal.
Come celebrate summer at Bernardi Toyota with our lowest prices of the year. Plus, get great financing rates on our hottest models. So don't wait. Come in today and save big at Bernardi Toyota.
Advertising made simple. Your brand gets a streamlined, results-driven strategy that combines radio, streaming audio, and targeted digital solutions. No juggling vendors, no complicated setups. We handle everything, making sure your message reaches the audiences that matter most. Big reach, smart targeting, no hassle, one plan, every platform. Your message everywhere it matters. Multi-platform advertising.